everybody doing out there? Yep, it's 5:45 a.m. Welcome to Soul Station Radio. I was able to see some meteor showers at around 2, I don't know, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. When I had woke up earlier, I had fell asleep around midnight. And then my daughter had woken up, so we were up around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So I came outside to see if I can see meteor showers. And after like 15 minutes, I did see shooting stars, meteor showers. I saw 2 or 3 of them. And we are during the Leonids time of peaking right now. So I didn't have my phone on me at the time. So I figured I'd come back out when I woke up for the morning. And no matter how much I sleep, I have like an inner alarm that wakes up between 4 and 5 a.m. So even though I didn't get any sleep really, I get up. I'm actually going to be appearing. See, right there is the Hudson River. You can't really see it from here, but there's a house here. Behind this house, there's like a little bit of woods for a little ways. And then you got the Hudson River. You could see the boats and the lights from across the river. Unfortunately, right now, my mother-in-law lives upstairs from us. So, like, I didn't want to wake up the house by me going live inside either. But I figured I'd do a quick river right here from where I'm at, but on the camera you can't see it at all. Whoa, what was that one light that just... Huh. Yo. What is that? Now it's going away. What is that, dude? It can't be a car. Why would it be stationary? Whoa. You guys see what I'm talking about? Sort of like left to center. A glowing orb. It's very weird. Right now I'm standing in front of a cop's house. I know a cop lives there. I don't want to be sitting here like looking like I'm video recording his house. We actually went to school with his I went to school with his older sister actually. This is an undisclosed area near the Hudson River. We're in right now of New York. We're about 30 miles outside of New York City. Hold on for a minute. See the river. I hope you guys are still with me. You know what it was? I was walking past my house, so it it like went to Wi-Fi and then came back, I think. Who's with me in the chat room? I know there's some people watching, but so we have some very interesting information that I'm gonna go live with tonight with Leak Project and Rex Bear. I was originally scheduled to be on Leak Project on the 19th, but Rex contacted me yesterday and asked me if I could do tonight. Tonight, he was like, "Can you do tomorrow instead?" Yesterday he asked me, so yeah, we're gonna do the show tonight on Leak Project, and I'm gonna be releasing information that I've never discussed before. And if you guys haven't noticed, I've been going on Leak Project and doing my show for I've been doing my show for years, but I've been going on Leap Project on and off for about 5 years or something like that. But as of the last like 6 or 7 months or 8 months or whatever it's been, pretty much since COVID hit, and even before that I was coming on a couple of times a year, but pretty much since like COVID hit, I've been going on Leak Project on a monthly basis. Like, I'm one of the monthly guests, because he does like a couple of podcasts a day, 2 or 3 podcasts a day. So he's able to book people, and he has he has several regular guests, and I'm one of the regular guests. And if you guys haven't noticed, each month I come with new material, new information. I have endless information, and what's the most interesting part is that the most important stuff, the most intense stuff, I've never said to anyone, except my very, very close friends. So, and basically nobody that I talk to in this community, except for maybe one person, so in fact, like, I think it's besides my wife and maybe Lori Bruno, I wouldn't tell anybody else some things, it's just that way. But I give you guys a pretty much a wide majority of the information. It's just some of that it's almost like a higher self-privileged information just for me, but I do share so much information because I'm trying to help with the negative energy on this planet. I'm really trying to help and play my role in my life mission and my whole contract. This is why I'm working 24/7, always. I mean, yeah, I spend time with my baby, my baby, my daughter. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, and I spend time with my girls. But even then, like, it's incorporated in what we're doing. Like, it's a part of me, right? It's a part of all of us. Just being able to unlock some of the inner mysteries in who we are helps me to play better with my daughter. Makes me more creative while we're playing. It's super creative, and we invent little games constantly. And for those that don't know ancient star mythology, a lot of it has real mind-blowing information right before our eyes that people just look at as lore, as a primitive way of talking about the stars, a primitive way of talking about gods and goddesses, right? Good morning. Well, some of it is literally encoded with true sacred knowledge that right now we are starting to get some of the technologies emerging on our planet with the acceleration of the timeline, that now we can see what truly some of these ancient writings and pictures are translating, like are depicting. And now we can truly start to translate some of them, like the ancient Persians, right? I don't think we're going to catch any comments right now. Like the ancient Persians, right? The ancient Persians were an ancient cult, if you want to call them a stellar cult. They had unlocked and received stellar information. You know, even Persian mathematicians were involved with making the literal glass inside of the Notre Dame cathedrals, like because this glass was an alchemical glass. I don't even know if any of the original is still left, to like the Chartres cathedrals and the Notre Dame cathedral. They used Persian mathematicians to make alchemical glass, the kind of glass that they used in these portal windows, or literally the kind of glass that forms when a comet strike hits the desert, or a nuclear explosion will hit the desert and the sand will harden to a glass. This is the same type of glass that they used in the Chartres Cathedral and the Notre Dame Cathedral. The same type of glass, but it was formed by Persian mathematicians. It had secrets to the stars, secrets to the universe. And that's what I've been unlocking within myself. And that's what I've been talking about, harmonic resonance so much, and the harmonic frequencies and the different hertz of our brain, and the harmonic of the universe, and the arc per second around our friggin' Taurus sphere. And you know, the Persians, they looked at it like we had 4 royal stars, the eyes of the night, the watchtowers of the sky, the guardians of the gates, and they sat on their watchtower thrones, overlooking the universe, overlooking every species and humanity, right? And each royal star had a watcher that resided on his celestial throne over his zone of the universe. I need to tell you guys that I have unlocked that information within me. This is not just mythology. These are hyperdimensional quantum stargate chairs that reside in a higher dimension, that can literally watch everything in his zone. And it's connected to a higher one computer, a higher force, a higher quantum intelligence. And there's 9 of them throughout the universe that I know of, and 4 of them that are like the ones that have to do with the entrance to our planet, even like the equinoxes and the solstice dates. And then there's others that reside on other celestial bodies, like the moon and the sun. And you know, they had 4 royal stars in ancient Persia. They were Aldebaran, Antares, Fomalhaut, and what was it, Kaput Agol maybe? I think that was the 4. But they had these 4, and they were the watchers, you know, and there's a whole bunch of these watchers, or Grigori, or archangels. But the higher ranking ones, the higher dimensional ones, and I'm talking, guys, there isn't just 11, 12, 13 dimensions. They go higher. I'm talking, these are these beings that reside in higher dimensions, even like the 20s or the 30s. I'm not exactly sure how high, but some of them reside in very high dimensions, and they exist in a world where they have to come into our 4D, 5D to be able to communicate with us. And that's why we only can peek in to their mirror, to their frequency, to their harmonic level at certain shamanic states that we get in. Like if our brain gets to 8 hertz, our brain waves get to 8 hertz, then we can sort of start to peek in to the mirror, the harmonic frequency, because we are in an unreality of reality. We are in, it all has to do with light. And light, which, the light codes is what makes us appear within this globe of light, this sphere of, this torus sphere of light. And it's all about harmonic resonance and harmonic frequencies and the degrees and the different degrees it goes throughout the universe and the planet. And there's millions of these beings that have to do with different arcs and different degrees and different frequencies of our universe. Each one of them have, higher forces attached to them. Love to you, Grand Rising, guys. This is the true knowledge of what the Watchers are, everybody. The true knowledge of what the Grigori are, the Archangels are. They reside over all stargates and portals, all spiritual energy and activity they reside over. They're there. And there's ones that have, that are bad, Guys, you gotta understand, even God gave free will to his higher dimensional angelic beings. The higher dimensional beings in our multiverse have free will just like us. And there's a cosmic war because some of them have chose to restrict the free will of others. And some of them have been using divine technology to create and destroy worlds. And I have been decoding the Bible and many other religious texts, even though I know that they've been tainted and translated, but there's some real information in there as well. And I like to compare religious texts to some of my visions and some of my experiences. I'm glad we're gonna probably catch sunrise on here. I didn't bring my freaking cord. I brought my solar charger, but I forgot to bring my the cord to plug it into my phone. But I got 60%. I got 60% still. Yeah, that's the ultimate offense of the universe, is to compromise somebody's free will. There's basically 9 principles of the universe, and this is where the 9 come in. They are residing on 9 celestial thrones, if you want to say, celestial quantum stargate Taurus chairs. And they uphold the 9 harmonic laws of the universe. And one of them has to do with the energy of free will. The frequency, the brain frequency of free will, the brain frequency of your choice, the part of your bioenergetic system that has to do with you choosing, your free will. That frequency is what's being violated. Now, I don't think anybody has ever explained it like that I've heard. Maybe some other people out there, of course. I'm not unique. You know, it's all been said and done before, but I guess I just come from it. It's amazing to me sometimes when I feel like I come from it from the way, and then it lines up with other people's research and other people's thoughts and visions. But, you know, there is some things in other channeled material that I do resonate with, you know, and that's why people are saying, well, why are you giving channeled material such a bad rap? Is because I've experienced both sides of the coin. You know, I have experienced something trying to overtake me and something coming into my consciousness without me inviting it in or wanting to communicate with it, right? And I can give you an example, is that there's a few times in my life that I did automatic writing. And it was as a child, and it was not something that I chose to do. I literally was standing on the beach and inertia began to creep up on me. I was in Florida. We were on vacation, 1987. I had a near-death experience that year. They had to operate on me to save my life, and my parents sort of like took us to Disney World afterwards as a like, you know, they felt, you know, they wanted to cheer me up or whatever. School was just starting in September, and I was just about to go back to school, so we went to Disney World, right? The only time we went on a trip like that with my parents. I mean, my dad had taken us on, you know, took us on some weekend trips where we drove different places like Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, different places like that near New York. Like, we went to the Quaker place one time. We went to, you know, Ocean City, Maryland one time. We drove to different places, but we never like took a plane before together like that. And this was the first time I actually even took a plane in my life, I think. No. Maybe when I was real small, but I don't remember it. But this was the first time I was like, you know, old enough to really retain what was going on. And I was about 10 years old. And we went to Disney World, which is in like Orlando, Florida. And we had the hotel room in the Hilton. And I had an out-of-body experience in that hotel room. And that same day, see, I was really, really tired. And I'd been in the ocean in New Jersey before, like, you know, on the Jersey Shore, but I never boogie boarded before in my life. And that day I was boogie boarding on the beach of Florida, and the waves were like kicking my, even though I was like a high athlete, I was in high level soccer, I played traveling soccer, rec soccer, I was in martial arts, all that stuff, but I never experienced the kind of tired and beat upness that you can get from the waves throwing you around and from boogie boarding. And the waves were like folding me over myself a couple of times where I almost freaking felt like I was gonna die, right? But I was the kind of kid that I don't stop until my mom tells me to stop if I'm having fun, even if it's like I'm like dragging my arms and legs, right? So I was in the waves and getting beat up by the waves for like hours, literally hours, where my body was never that tired, right? So when we were done and my mom was like, that's enough, we're gonna go wash up and go to dinner, right? I was like a zombie walking from the beach to the Hilton. I remember like, just there's pictures of me too that day where my eyes were just like, I looked like a zombie that day. And I remember little bits and pieces of me walking, being that like, because it felt like while I was walking to even the hotel room, like I was coming out of my body. I kept remembering that, like I felt like I was gonna, you remember shit like this because it's like traumatic, and plus I was having fun, you know, at first. And when I was walking with my mom to go to the hotel room, I couldn't even hear her talking to me. It was like, whoa, like it was really slowing down. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, I feel like I'm gonna die. And there was a couple of times I had to shake my head because I felt like I was gonna get stuck like that forever. Like, and I couldn't even, like, you know, it was like weird. Like I felt like I was like weird, like something, you know, I was even starting to think like, oh shit, it's like, is something neurological wrong? Because like I just I had a near-death experience recently, which like they had to operate on my testicle because I got kicked so hard, and plus I had a concussion at the same time, really bad concussion. So, I was like, man, I had a head injury and shit. What's going on? I was thinking to myself, like, oh my God, something must be wrong with my head. I shouldn't have went into waves like that because maybe I should have like, taken it. I started to think like, oh my God, maybe it was too soon for me to do all this, and something's happening to me. Right, so I told my mother that like maybe we shouldn't go to dinner right now. I don't feel well. Maybe I should lay down for a little while. And she was like, "All right, let's take a shower and take a nap and whatever. Do whatever." I don't remember. My dad was actually going to get ice or going to get something and was leaving the room. So I don't remember showering. I remember my mom talking to me outside the door for a minute, and I felt like really weird in the shower. I don't remember most of it. And then what I do remember is afterwards when we came back, when I came back out of the shower, I laid down on the bed and my mom left the room. And when I lay down on the bed, I remember I didn't even hit the bed. I like fell into it. And there was all this like weird feelings that happened, like almost like I was like coming out of my body and all this stuff. I talked about it before. I don't want to get into the whole thing right now because I had seen these like reptile type things that were outside of my bed, and they were in robes, and there was this whole thing that was going on, right? And then when my mom opened the door, I kind of got like sucked back into my body because I started like when I went to go hit the bed, everything was going wah and slowing down, and I felt like I was gonna get stuck like that forever, and I was trying to shake my way out of it, but I was so tired I couldn't even move my chest or anything, and I tried to scream for my mom, and I couldn't get anything out. It was just stuck, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna die. I can't fight it. I'm just gonna give into it. So I gave into it, and when I gave into it, everything stopped, and it was just like this serenity feeling, like I was in heaven or something, and I started to drift out of my body and go through the ceiling, right? And I stopped myself from going through the ceiling, and I was floating there, and I literally saw another young girl floating next to me. This Native American girl, right? And then I started to hear a chanting. It was like, "Wumba," like, hey, oh, hey. It sounded like Native American chanting, but almost backwards, right? So I looked back down, and I'm in my body is floating above my body in the bed. So I looked back down at my body in the bed, and I saw a circle of these like Komodo dragon face looking things with cloaks on, like half, they look like Jim Henson type reptile creatures, and they were chanting around my body, and I was reaching out for this girl's hand, right? And it seemed like the room had like a weird candlelit glow to it too, like it was illuminating and flickering. And I think it was my mom's hand or card that went in the door to come back in the room, because when the door started to open, I got literally sucked back into my body like a vacuum. Like I got slammed into it and it all disappeared. And the thing was that, damn, I need water. The thing was that at that time we were in Disney, and this car attraction called what's it called? This, amusement ride attraction at Epcot Center that we went to was called Figment. It was a purple dinosaur, and it had a roller coaster there, a whole attraction. It was Figment the dinosaur. He was like a purple dinosaur, and we had bought this like 3-foot Figment doll that day. It's not a doll, it's a stuffed animal, right? It's a doll, whatever, a stuffed animal. So we had bought the stuffed animal of the Figment dinosaur. It's like a purple dinosaur with like a yellow shirt that says Figment, like figment of your imagination. It had Figment on it, and he had these like reddish, dragon horns. And he was like purple and orangish dragon horns or something like that, right? So I was actually holding that Figment doll next to me on the bed when my mom came in the room. And when she was like, because I was like frightened when she came in. I go, Mom, there was all these figments around me. I was telling her that they were, the figment dinosaurs were in the room. And she was like, wow, you were having some crazy dream. And I told her how I was like floating up above my bed and all this. And then there was all these figment dinosaurs in there. And she's like, wow, she basically was telling me because I was so tired from the waves. And, because we just went to the figment place and everything there, that I was like kind of, having a weird dream about it. And yeah, I guess it could have been a dream, you know. But the whole Native American thing, the chanting, the reptile humanoid things, the more I started to do research as I grew older, I realized it was an out of a body experience, other dimensional experience. That dreams sometimes aren't just dreams, aren't just your mind hallucinating. They are alternate reality, other dimensional experiences. And that same that same day, the whole reason why I got into this story, that same day, before we left the beach, before this even happened, I was like I said, I was really tired and I was boogie boarding all day. So I would boogie board for like an hour or two and then take a break and eat a sandwich or sit there and then go right back to it, right? So I was boogie boarding for like hours, and I had taken a couple minute break, and I had, walked a little, farther down than I should have, farther down what my mother wanted. And somehow, I don't know how I ended up doing this. I don't remember any of it. I just remember my mom grabbing me out of it. But somehow I ended up sitting on the shore right when the, where the tide comes in, where the water meets the sand. I was sitting right there at the edge of there where the waves come right in. And I had a piece of like beach debris in my hand. I was sitting with my legs folded in front of me in yoga pose, right? And I was sitting there with a beach debris in my hand. I had like seashells and stuff spread out in like a half circle type thing, or almost in a full circle. And inside that circle, I was going in like almost like a kind of, I guess, like a figure eight sort of pattern or something with my hand. Because when my mom came and got me and woke me up, right, I was like in a trance. And I was going over, she said I was going like over and over again like this in the sand with my stick, right? So when she grabbed me and woke me up out of it, she was like pulling me away by the hand. She's like, come on, let's go. She's like, you're falling asleep or something. You're like doing something weird. Like, she was like telling me, and I think my mom knew kind of what was going on, and it freaked her out, because my mom was really into ghosts and spirits, and that's all she would watch on TV was like ghost movies and all that stuff. And she got really freaked out, I think, by it. And when she grabbed my hand and pulled me away, I looked back down on the sand, and I saw like inside the circle of seashells and all the stuff that I had gathered up, inside was like a twisted knot of faces that you can see that there was like a pattern of my scribble, and there was like just a twisted knot of faces that showed up in that. And that to me really scared me, freaked me out. And I was like, I'm never gonna do that, make my body be so vulnerable and tired and unprotected ever again. And if I ever want to do something like that, it's got to be my choice, because it was literally like something else was inside of me, or not literally inside of me, but something else was manipulating my biosphere, my bioenergetic system. And and I was channeling something, I was channeling something that I didn't want to, that I didn't invite. And you can see that there was faces, man. When I looked, I'll never forget the way it looked. this is intense, and it kind of, I'm gonna do it my own choice, you know. And what's interesting is that there was one time in Long Beach, California. Now I'm a grown man. You know, the other time I was a kid still, but I was only like 9, 10 years old when that story happened. But me as a grown man in my early 20s in Long Beach, I had this friend that lived next door, older lady, a black lady, and I was friends with her daughter as well. Like, you know, me and her daughter never did anything, but she was like a black girl around my age, and like I helped her out a couple of times when guys were bothering her in front of the house, and we smoked like blunts together a couple of times. But like I never like tried to go there with her because they were like my neighbors, and like I really respected them and I really liked them, so I didn't want to change the relationship. But I did feel like maybe the daughter kind of liked me in a way, you know, too. But me and the mother would hang out like whenever she would be. The apartment I was staying in and their apartment were in separate buildings, but the alleyways behind the house like connected to each other. So like our back door and her back door were facing each other. So like when she would be outside smoking a cigarette, or you know, sitting on the little table that she had out there, and you know, I would be outside the house in the back or something smoking, or whatever. You know, I would sit with her a lot. Sometimes we would play cards, we would talk, you know, we would play rummy and stuff like that, you know. So like, and we would talk all the time. So one day we were talking really, really close, like sharing stuff about our families, our just like we would talk, we would really talk, like you know, not like a motherly son thing, but like friends, you know. And uh, I guess she was talking about something in her family or something, right? And I was, we were playing cards, but like I had a little notebook on the side of me, and I was like doodling while she was talking, right? I don't think we were playing at that moment, but like I know there was cards there on the table. I remember, so I remember the cards went flying when I left. I was pissed off because like she like really offended me, but um, the cards, we were talking, right? And I was kind of doodling in my notebook while we were talking, and I wasn't really paying attention to when I was doodling because you know I was looking up at her a lot of the times, and I was scribbling, right? And she wasn't really paying attention to what I was scribbling either at first, right? But while she was talking, I don't know, I just kind of like zoned out, and I was scribbling on the pad. And then all of a sudden she stopped me, and she was like, what is that you're doing? And she like took a look, and then she looked at the page, she like turned it around and was looking at it. And then she looked up at me, and I'll never forget she turned white, dude. Guys, she turned white, and she was a dark lady. She's a dark black lady. Hopefully she's still alive. I mean, she was like in her late, she was probably in her late 40s, early 50s at the time, and it was like in 2002. So hopefully she's still alive. But she took one look at that picture, and she was like, "What are you?" She's like, "You are some kind of witch, or some, you know, what is wrong with you?" And she was like, "Get out." She was like, "Get away from me." She's like, "There's some fucking thing wrong with you." And she, you know, she really like went nuts at me. And, you know, I stormed off, and I like knocked everything off the table and left, right? And then I left my notebook there, everything. I just left. And then later on, I went back and got my notebook that she left it right there, because I you know, I had stuff that I'd been writing in there for a long time. So I later on went back, like a few minutes later, I went back and got my notebook, right? And I picked my notebook up, and it was like a picture of like a whole bunch of clouds, like puffy clouds type thing, like that were scribbled quick, like it looked like, you know, like clouds. And then in the middle of the clouds was a guy. First of all, it was a fish that was poking its head out of the clouds, and then beneath was like the body coming out of the rest of the clouds, and the guy was holding a little cane, right? And the face was like a bald-headed guy, like, you know, a black guy type features, right? Bald-headed, like a shaved bald-headed, like bicked, and like these round circle glasses, pretty skinny looking, and it was like a definite, real good face. Like I'm not a professional artist, but I could pretty much draw a little bit, right? I could explain enough, like, because I've been working on a comic book for the last couple of years, and it's slow in the making because, like, our GoFundMe doesn't really get ever donations, but I got to do it. I can't really pay for it out of my own pocket right now. I have to do it where I get some help. So whenever we get a little bit in the GoFundMe, we'll make another page and color another page or do a little bit more. But I have a whole series of comic books that I've been working on for years, and one of them is called Kids Sleep, and it's about, somebody that has, dream travel powers. Basically, it's a whole story, but uh it's basically, why did I get into that now? I forgot why I even started talking about that now with the comic book. But oh, so I could draw a little bit, right? So, like, when I have to, like, I could sketch a little bit, right, when I want to. And I had sketched like a guy's face. He had like a little bit of a mustache, an earring. Like, there was like certain things about him, and the body was like skinny, the cane, everything, right? And he was like poking his head out of the clouds, and sort of like, you know, it looked like he was floating in the clouds. And apparently, because I had asked her daughter later, me and this lady never spoke again, ever, ever. And we used to speak on almost a daily basis. And I ended up moving back to New York like a few weeks or a month later. Like, she avoided me for like the last month I was there. So I never got to speak to her again. And apparently that was her brother that died. Terry. I had asked her daughter because I was like, yo, what the hell happened? And she was like, she didn't even really talk for a couple of days. She said, the daughter said that her mother didn't even speak in the house for a couple of days at all. She was just like really shook up. And she's like a real Christian. They're Baptist, right? This lady would, they would have church on the weekends, right? And then she would sell these fish and chip sandwich things out of her house even. And she would always give me some, right? So she was like a real Baptist, and they would have like rock concerts in their church. They would be singing in there and swaying and dancing. So she was like a real spiritual, religious Baptist lady too. So I don't know. I shook her up with that, and I didn't even mean to do it. And that's why I pretty much probably will never do that again in my life. Like, I didn't even want to do it. It just came out. And I don't think necessarily it was evil in any way. But I think it was maybe it has to do with the energy of her brother. And I was, emotionally stimulated through her talking about her family, right? So it was her brother Terry, I think the guy's name was, and it was like a spitting image of him. And so I remember even there was like clouds, and then on the side there was like, I had clouds and side like a crescent moon, but the crescent moon looked like almost like a fish. And I forget what that had to do with something too. I forget what it was, but the daughter was telling me how every little thing on there was kind of like had to do with him too. It was kind of weird, very weird. Who's in the chat room? Amazing series. If you guys look on, I don't know, maybe some of my old Patreon posts, some of my old Instagram posts or something, you could see Facebook, you could see some of the work from my comic book. It's really amazing. And basically the main character comes from an ancient Benindante family, a good walker. And he basically fights evil by going into his sleep state and traveling in his dream time to find out where the evil coordinates are on the planet. And then when he wakes up, he poses as like, say he finds out in his dream time that the evil's in Thailand, right? And there's some, like, for example, there's one comic, comic that we have that's like many pages, that the guy is possessed by like a Naga spirit, and he's a Thai fighter, right? So so he'll go to Thailand and pose as a Thai fighter and take him down with spiritual powers and stuff, right? I don't want to reveal too much more because people steal my stuff, but it's kids sleep. So if I see that come out anywhere, I got a proof right here that I said it. But yeah, I've been working on that for a long time. I got a lot of cool, interesting stuff. I mean, all the mythology too that I know, all the religious material that I know, everything that I've experienced. I mean, that makes for a better comic book than anything that's out there. Serious. I'm working with a guy called Hawk, Mr. Hawk, H-A-Q-Q, Abdul Hawk. Right now he does the Drexia comic book series. He's a black guy from Detroit. He's called, one of the techno artists. He's a techno artist. And he's probably in his 50s, Hawk. But he's amazing, man. He used to be Muslim. He's not Muslim anymore. But we haven't been able to make anything lately because of the money situation. But it's really an amazing comic. And there's a couple of main characters. And the main character is one of the coolest characters as well. I took some elements of my life. I took some of Italian mysticism, sort of mythology and history, and I also took like Vedic history, Chinese, all sorts of things, and I sort of entwined it with some of my, higher dimensional information, if you want to say. And also, you make things, you got to make a few things up and stuff to make it even cooler and stuff. So, but there's so much. It's so intense. It's so intense. That's why if like, I tried hitting my cousin up, because I have a cousin that's a famous actor, and I tried hitting him up to like ask him, hey, like get me an interview with Todd McFarlane or do this. I did try, because I was never going to ask him for anything, no favors whatsoever, because like I hate when family members do that to somebody, when just because that person made it like themselves, they think that, oh, I'm going to jump on that train. And I never wanted to do that, but I had something that I felt like was an amazing product, and I was trying to contact certain comic book people for like, give me a few minutes in your office so I could show you what I'm working on. I could give you some of my storyline, and I promise you that you will not be let down, right? Because I know if I talk to Todd McFarlane for a few minutes, or Alex Gray, or Neil Gaiman, or something like that, right? People that are even around this area, like Neil Gaiman, these are New York people, I think. Alex Gray, I think he's even around here too. If I got to sit with them, I know that they would be receptive to my work and be blown away by it. I do, but it's hard to get in contact with some of these people. And I tried to get in contact with a couple of them guys, and I never got any response. And I did try to hit my cousin up eventually and asked him, and he kind of like always like somehow avoids that. He'll answer like how I'm doing and stuff like that, but like he kind of avoids that question. I asked it a few times, even in an email. And then he was like, oh, you could talk to my friend Mark in New York City. And then I talked to the guy Mark, and Mark was kind of a weirdo. He's like, and then he was like upset that he hasn't made it really in New York City, that he's like, I don't know what the fuck, I don't know. So, I don't know. But I got to do it myself. Like, I can't ask people for like a family member to help me or something like that. If I get a break from somebody, it's got to be through my own work, right? But hey, boy, he's all right. It's okay. It's a puppy. There's a big dog right behind me. You heard the lady yelling. I wasn't worried about it, but he was big. He was a big golden retriever, big and fat. I guess his name is Jesse. But so what else was I saying? I think that's about it for this morning. I'm tired of walking already. I've been walking for a while because I was walking when it was still dark out, and I was looking for meteor showers and everything. But I have a few email readings that people requested a couple of days ago. Those will be ready by Thursday. I'm gonna be on the Leak project tonight. I think it's gonna be like 7 o'clock Mountain Time or 9 o'clock my time. But then I don't think it's like sometimes it's live. But sometimes he records it an hour later, he posts it live, or a couple hours later he posts it. So I don't know if it's going to be like live feed, but I'll try. If it's not live while we're doing it and he posts it afterwards and it's not too late, I'll try to be in the chat room for people. So much love, everybody. Look, we got 5% on my phone too. So much love. Thank you guys for showing up. I hope you guys enjoyed the information, and no judging. That's like sharing like personal stuff too, some of it. So the whole thing about the stargates and the celestial thrones, I'll be talking about that. The soul stations, I'll be talking about that tonight on Leak Project. So don't forget to support me out there, right here on YouTube or Mystical Spiral store, patreon.com/the Mystical Spiral. Thank you, everybody, and Spiral out. Peace, Baron. Peace beyond the spectrum. Peace of mind. Thoughts and perceptions out loud. What's up? Peace. Who else we got? Herberto, the flying monk in the church. Yeah, I've heard of the monk. There's a lot of monks out there and priests that would start to fly towards the ceiling and start to drift. That I could think of. You got what was the one that he was kind of like not too smart either? Saint Joseph. Was it Saint Joseph? Saint Joseph. Saint Vincent Ferrer. What's another one? There was a few of them. Even Saint Anthony would bilocate, and certain Saint Francis. There was a few guys that were known to sort of like even start to fly and levitate while they were preaching, or even bilocate certain times. Saint Anthony of Padua was a Strega priest. People don't realize that. Saint Anthony of Padua was a Strega priest. He comes from a Strega family, and he was a mago, a shamanistic priest. So I'll see you guys later, and Spiral out.